Thank you for the applause. I'm not Jon Snow, in case you've mistaken. Anyway, hello and good evening. I'm John Willis. I'm the chair of One World Media. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our 31st annual awards. 31 years of high achievement and good work is amazing for such a small charity. Many thanks to BAFTA once again for their generous charitable gift of this lovely venue. To our awards judges, our partners and supporters. Without the generosity of so many others, we would not be able to achieve as much as we do. We're delighted that this year we enjoyed a record number of entries, nearly 500, from an astonishing 54 countries across all types of media. We also received an amazing range of entries in our special themed categories, created to spotlight outstanding reporting on specific issues: children in conflict, refugees, and environment. So tonight we can, for a change, look outwards and not inwards. I can promise you a Brexit-free zone. I could probably promise you a Boris-free zone as well, I suppose. This dramatically expanding geographical reach shows that the core purpose of One World Media, the development of first-class, independent journalism from and about the developing world, is more relevant than ever. As the political classes in so many corners of the world pump out fake news and increasingly control information, One World Media's mission is ever more important. Of course, the tools available to journalists are changing. Recently, a friend of mine told me that his 3-year-old daughter had come down to breakfast one morning and said, "Mummy, Daddy, I love you too." Touched by this spontaneous display of affection, the mother said, "I love you too." To which the little girl said, "No, I didn't say I love you too. I said I love YouTube." Yet, whether recorded on an iPhone or written with a pencil and paper, the underpinning architecture of journalism remains the same: storytelling, facts, the power of pictures and language, fairness and independence. A warm welcome tonight to our new director, Gemma Bradshaw, who stepped seamlessly into the role. Gemma has made a great start with us, leading with energy and commitment. Previously living in the US, she seems to have escaped Donald Trump, only to find herself in Nigel Farage land. I checked recently that the graffiti I'd once seen in South London, written by either a journalist or perhaps a hairdresser, was still there. It was. It simply says, "Donald Trump, we shall overcome." It was a bit subtle for this audience, wasn't it? Alongside Gemma is Deputy Director Leanne Dimaturco. With Licia, Holly and Chloe, they make a formidable team. It's said that women hold up half the sky, but at One World Media, they hold up the whole sky. One World has enjoyed a very busy year. Our fellowships for emerging journalists, who we support with mentoring and funding, goes from strength to strength. Nearly 200 young journalists have now benefited from the scheme since it began. And we have supported reports from 52 different countries, actually 72 different countries. We've also held 6 international reporting workshops, a successful screening of our fellowship films, our annual industry day at Channel 4, and a press freedom debate hosted by the EBRD. To top that off, this March we transported our second global short docs forum from London to Kiev. Led by Flora Gregory and Lissa Yaffet, we hosted young filmmakers from China to Colombia, from Nigeria to Latvia, in an intensive week of masterclasses and mentoring. The talent and the passion of many aspiring young people we support from all over the world has sadly to be seen in the context of a bleak year for journalism. Of course, we were delighted to see the release from prison in Myanmar of the 2 Reuters journalists whose unjustified incarceration we highlighted last year. They were our first ever joint winners of the International Journalist of the Year Award. But according to the Committee to Protect Journalists, the number of journalists murdered in retaliation for their work has doubled in a year. Others, of course, were killed reporting on military conflicts. But the killings of journalists were not confined to war zones far away. They were killed in Slovakia and Bulgaria, in the offices of the Capital Gazette newspaper in Maryland, the Saudi embassy in Turkey, in the case of Lyra McKee on the streets of Northern Ireland. As tonight's nominees show, however, despite the dangers, despite the open hostility national leaders express so often, amazing work, insightful, courageous, and necessary, is being done all over the world by men and women willing to put themselves in harm's way to report the truth. Brave journalists are often amongst the few forces defending democracy, or at least offering some check on power. We salute the courage and the skills of everyone nominated tonight. The halfway point this evening, we will be highlighting the 10th anniversary of BBC Persian Television, who, like so many other broadcasters, have been under huge pressure not to report what is really happening. But these awards and the other work we do would not be possible without our sponsors. We've got too many to mention individually, but they're all listed in the programme and on the screens around the venue tonight. We are deeply grateful to them all. The special thanks goes to the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, not only support us year-round, but help fund our forum in Kiev this year. But to continue our vital work, we need to increase our support overall. We really are in need of extra funding, so if you know anyone who might be interested in the kind of journalism we nurture and support, please let us know. And now, a brief reminder of what One World Media has been up to this year. In these days of increasing political control of information, of fake news, and often febrile social media, One World Media is more relevant than at any time in its 30-year history.
One World Media is an organisation that has a number of programmes to support filmmakers and journalists telling stories from developing countries.
You can be an activist and a reporter, and I think I am both, because journalism is a form of activism.
It's not our resilience as journalists, it's the resilience of the people who stay on the ground.
These kind of events enable not just me to open up, but also for an audience to see it from our perspective.
Getting people into a place to talk about the issues, it's more likely that we'll be able to help journalists across the board.
It's really interesting to see people wanting to tell powerful stories.
I think it's really important what One World Media are doing here by bringing together young filmmakers with commissioners.
We've been stretched to think about our projects in ways that we would normally not think about it, and that's been amazing.
You kind of pick up pitching tips along the way, but it's very, very hard to come by, and that is what this workshop does so well.
This seminar, it was even better than what I imagined.
It's a really good snapshot of all the things you need to be thinking about.
You come to a workshop like this and you can see how it suddenly becomes achievable.
The fund gave me a sort of imperative to go out there and do it. It was like genuinely one of the most amazing experiences of my life.
Through making the film, it gave me a lot more credibility, so I think that's helped me a lot.
We are telling a human story without any censorship or commercial constraints, so it's really creative freedom.
These awards not only celebrate coverage of international stories, but also the media's power to play a pivotal role in provoking change.
As some of our global leaders get more sensational, we believe that journalism needs to counteract that. And all of these finalists met that standard.
Acts of journalism are acts of resistance, and I feel like we have so much to learn from our colleagues.
This is a very special award for us in the way that it recognizes the film itself, but also recognize the wider impact.
This recognition will really help us reach more people and further expand our work. Thank you very much.